So we're talking about pro bono strategies. Let's make sure, yep, it's recording. This has been a strategy, it's been something that's been instrumental to my practice. It's something that I started, when I started the consulting practice, probably before I even knew I had a consulting practice. I was doing pro bono strategy, doing pro bono work. Quick history, I worked as a research assistant and research associate, as a doctoral student and postdoc at Iowa State. And before that, I had been working for a management consulting firm. And I realized this program evaluation thing I was doing was just consulting. And there was a big aha moment for me as a grad student. And so I did that. The work just kind of fell in my lap. Literally, I was a grad student and they said, here, work on this project. And so I did that for a while. And then I said, I'm done with this evaluation stuff. And I went off to be a director of institutional research at a university, at 2 different universities. And on the side, it's like I refer to the evaluation as the mob, because once you think you're out of it, they find you and they bring you right back in. I was working as a director of institutional research, and somebody reached out to me and said, can you do this program evaluation? And I was just too tempted by the, that $5,000 to do this report. And then one thing led to another, and I started doing work. Anyway, so back on the pro bono strategy, what's a definition for pro bono? Basically, it means where you wouldn't charge or you would do it for free. If you were in the legal profession, it's actually pro bono publico, which is that Latin term that means for the public good. But for our purposes and the independent consulting group, we're actually really talking about our strategy. And that's the way I think about it. It's just a strategy for us to do a number of things. Perhaps meet new people, get involved with a group that you don't know, a subset of an organization. Perhaps it's a way to develop new skills, or it's a way to start something new for people that could result in paid work. So that's what you'll see on the next slide is exactly those things of why people do it. Like I said, you're meeting new clients, you're learning new work and initiating perhaps a larger project than what you start off. So for instance, when you meet new clients, this is actually, I think, a pretty good strategy for people who are getting started or they want to get introduced to a new group of people. So an example here, think of a good example, is if let's just say you're starting out your consulting practice and you don't feel like you have a network of people and you're trying to develop your network. Obviously, I would suggest that you join like a group like ours so you can meet other people like yourself, but also try and find yourself within that grouping of clients where they meet and organize and those types of professional associations. You could get to know your clients better if you have an option for something you can do for them. I would suggest you could think of maybe doing some kind of work like you could do a small program evaluation. You wouldn't want to do too large of a program evaluation, but you could do a small program evaluation on like one subset of their work just to show the type of work that you can do. By doing that, you're developing your value. So that's certainly one idea. And then as you get to know those clients, they start to see your services as invaluable, particularly if they, even today, people don't always understand and appreciate the value of evaluation. You start off by saying, hey, this isn't just a matter of, telling you you're doing it the way you thought you were doing it. It's a matter of helping you through process evaluation and helping you get better at what you're doing and documenting what your program is doing so that you can use that towards perhaps grant proposals or other proposals towards people who could broaden your work. And that's really what we're doing. We're trying to help our clients be better at who they are and what they're supposed to do. And in doing that, the secondary sustainable piece to it all is that as they grow and develop, they get to bring you along with them. And your little $5,000 project now becomes a $15,000 project, which becomes a $50,000 project. And it starts off as something free. And frankly, I was just looking at our projects. We have 30 projects. A lot of them are rather small. But of those 30 firm projects we have for our staff, 27 originated in a pro bono fashion. And the other 3 were really just one-offs from clients that we already had. So it would be something that just kind of fell in our lap and they said, hey, there's this opportunity. You want to come help us out with that? But I mean, really, for me, pro bono has been the way that we've been able to develop lots of new relationships. Um, so, or you could turn to your client, you could learn new work. You could say, um, I would really like to learn some more about R, social network analysis. Name something that you don't feel like you know very well. I'd like to do, in fact, we do this, now that I'm talking, we did this lots because we would produce a report and it was everything that we needed to do that was in our documents, that was in our deliverable schedule. But I said, hey, we'd like to spend some more time and put together a interactive dashboard. Do you have any problems with that? And you know the answer to that. Of course, they'd love to see it. So it's became something that we became really good at, these interactive dashboards and different types of ways of displaying data. And now it's it's a service that we can offer because we took the time to think and learn more about it. And just as a quick aside, as we're going through this presentation, feel free to add comments in the chat, any questions, because when we get to the chat function, we could definitely start with whatever questions are already in the chat function. So next, another way to initiate a large job. So perhaps we do this through program proposal development. I receive calls all the time. Do you want to write the evaluation plan and be our evaluator if we get the grant? That is when I say pro bono strategy, that is our business development strategy. And I do not charge for that. That's pro bono, right? But that's on purpose because they put my name into their proposal. I have an opportunity to win the grant along with them. And it sure is an easier conversation on whether they should hire you or not if your name's already in the proposal. I've only had one client who said, why should we hire you? And I was like, because I helped you write the proposal and my name's in it. So there's an expectation that I'm hired. So it works out really well that way. And like I was saying, get to know grant writers, know the Grant Professionals Association in your community. There's grant writers who, I'm telling you, they're dying to meet you. When I went and I presented at the National GPA conference, people looked at me like I was like this unicorn, like, oh my God, it's an evaluator. You guys really exist. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but they don't understand evaluation and they have to write about it all the time. So to be an advocate, an ally to them, to be somebody that they know and they can look to, perhaps they could hire you, they could pay you to do evaluation, but also if they need an evaluator for a project, now they know who you are. So that's a great way to do it. I'm on a list with McAllister and Quinn. That's a grant writing group that does grant writing for NSF projects for small and medium-sized private institutions. And when they're going after a National Science Foundation STEM, which is scholarships for STEM students, or a NOIS, I frequently get a call and say, would you like to work on this project with us, this proposal? And I don't charge because I want the proposal. If I charged for my evaluation development, they wouldn't call me. I wouldn't have an opportunity to do those projects. And plus, frankly, after a while, I'm going to suggest you find a way to make a template that, or a boilerplate where you don't spend a lot of time on this. You don't need to spend a lot of time developing evaluation plans once you figure out the chemistry for how these things work. I can put together an evaluation plan for these clients in a matter of hours. And I kind of always go back to a similar thing because we have a similar passion. Now, what are some different types of pro bonos? Some of these are kind of related to why you do it. Small part of a large job, that's what I was just saying. Creating a short-term engagement with people, and short-term is kind of like the operative phrase there, or doing community project work, which is totally different. So small part of a large job, we just saw this graphic, it's kind of the same thing. It's like I was saying, approach this as if you want to write an evaluation plan, or to do, I'd say another strategy is to perhaps talk to a client who's interested in your work. They're not really sure they want to work with you, and say, hey, how do I come on and help develop a draft logic model? And then the logic model creates an opportunity for you to think about, how you could study some of those outcomes, those short-term outcomes that they may not be thinking about. They don't have measurables. If your clients are anything like mine, a lot of them are thinking about activities, or maybe even outputs is their only evaluation. We had 15 students show up to our programs. They counted them. That's their output, right? They had a program and 15 students to show up as their output, but they haven't really thought about their measurable outcomes, those SMART goals. I mean, it seems kind of crazy to me, but when you say logic model and SMART goals, people's eyes go, what is that? Still to this day, it's still a wonderful way to talk to people and convert them into understanding how to better measure the impact of their programs. Short-term engagements, great way to develop skills and understand people. I was asked, in fact, I think in the room beyond me, I've got Tom is talking to these people right now, which is kind of ironic. But I had a group of people that I'd worked with before who decided they wanted to do a survey of all the superintendents in the state of Illinois. And they got about a 25% response rate. And they had all this data and this survey that, people who don't develop surveys put together. And they said, can you analyze this? We don't have any money. And I said, well, of course, I weighed my opportunities here. And they said, you'd get a chance to present to all of these regional superintendents, probably about 60 folks and their assistants at a meeting. And then we intend to take this to the governor's office and to the Illinois State Board of Education. And I said, well, the opportunity for this outweighs the cost of doing this for free. So I did it. It was a terribly designed survey, and I had to write that up. But it resulted in getting the contract the following year. And for 4 years since of doing the survey, redeveloping the survey and administering it, now we administer it each year. And it's become, a source of, I don't know, $50,000 to $60,000 a year and revenue for us, where it started off as just a free project. So that's a good example too. Now, where this may not be the way most people will think about pro bono, but just think about what you do already in your community and think about ways that you can be involved in your community for all the reasons you should be involved in your community, because it's the right thing to do. But if you're careful, you can think about ways that you can learn things that can help out your consulting practice. So I do things for like our running club. I sit on boards. I get actively involved with just different civic organizations. Now, I don't ever see that as an opportunity to get paid. I'm not really sure where it's all going to lead to, but I know I'm doing the right thing for my community. But what I've learned through that is just ways that that impact the way I can operate in my business. So, for instance, I would do surveys for local 5K races and 10K races. In doing that, it helped me polish my survey skills. It helped me polish my reporting skills and talk to people. And it's for free. So there's really, if I do it all wrong, everybody's pretty flexible with me. I was also the sponsorship chair for our 10K race, which helped me kind of grow more comfortable with asking people about money and relationships. And it became kind of a little bit of a confidence boost when I started to do more work within my Department of Defense projects, where I needed to reach out and talk to people about getting more involved in writing grants. And plus I've served on boards, so it helped me understand some more about how boards operate and how, what boards need and what I could be doing when I'm reporting to boards. Anyhow, let's see here. Here's some things that I would suggest you want to avoid. I wrote getting paid too little on purpose. That wasn't an accident. You probably, if you're doing a pro bono project, do it truly pro bono. It's better for you to get paid, to not get paid than to get paid too little. You're going to get to that situation where you have to tell your client that you need a raise, and perhaps they have been underpaying you the entire time. I would say set up a small term project, don't get paid, and then be very, very, very clear and transparent about this, that the idea here is if you like what I'm doing, we can set up an arrangement where you can pay me for what I'm doing. Yeah, so following that, no long-term engagements. at a certain point, they're just taking advantage of you. And maybe they don't even know they're doing that. Maybe they think they're doing you a favor. But at a certain point, there's going to be a frustration that happens there. So make sure you put, put some limits on what you do, and so you don't get too far. And the best way to put limits is the next bullet: create an MOU or a contract with them. And when we go and we start chatting, I have a link to an MOU that I've created for everybody that you can see as an example of one that I just did an MOU with a client. We're developing a proposal for the National Defense Education Program, and I would be their evaluator. And I said, I will be happy to submit the evaluation plan and support you with your grant writing process, because on the other end, it could be a $30,000 to $40,000 a year project. It seems like a pretty good deal to me. I take a little investment and opportunity cost now, where I'm not getting paid for my time, for a 3-year project that's worth $30,000 to $40,000 a year. That sounds awesome. Scope creep, that's the other thing you want to watch out for. Scope creep is actually a topic that Anne's going to talk about in a session a couple weeks from now. I forget when. Anyhow, just make sure that if you have an MOU in place, you don't allow your work to get too far beyond what you said you were going to do. At the point that they're asking you to do more, do another survey, do another focus group, whatever, you say, well, this is what we were scheduled to do. I would love to do that, but why don't we set up a contract for that work? It's as simple as that. So probably some repetition here, but here's the last kind of ideas. I like to do 5.5 ideas. So one suggestion, way to take what you can do as a result of this presentation: volunteer to write a proposal section. Get to know those grant writers. And once they know you can do it for one, those grant writers may want to put you on more and more, and you never know where that's going to lead. We have 5 current National Science Foundation projects from grant writers that called me up out of the blue and said, hey, can you work on this? Another idea, work on a small project with a potential client. Use this MOU template that I'm going to send to you as soon as I get a chance. When in doubt, just do good things for people, but make sure you're thinking about how you can develop some skills that are going to help you with your consulting practice. Everything you do can be an opportunity. I don't have any projects, anything paid or funded within my immediate community in Edwardsville, but I do a lot of work and I find different ways to think about what I'm doing to influence and help out my consulting practice. And finally, stick to your guns. When a client asks you to do more work than what you're scheduled to do for pro bono, kindly point them back to the MOU or the contract and say, here's what I was going to do. I'd be happy to help you out on a paid situation. And if you're transparent all along with this, I think they're going to be pretty open to that conversation. Finally, thanks for listening. And here is our upcoming sessions. So I talked about how to handle scope creep with Ann Price. That'll be on May 13th. We've got Jessica and Megan presenting on April 22nd. Next week, I get 2 weeks in a row. That's kind of strange. I'm going to start a core topic series every month. We're going to do one of the core topics that we do for the pre-conference workshop. We had pricing, or estimating your hourly rates. When I say pricing, that was the most popular session we did last fall. Actually, I think summer. It's probably in June or July. It was the most popular session when we look at the views on YouTube. So I thought I'd do it again as an opportunity to show it to everyone who hasn't seen it yet. So that should be a popular topic. If you can't make it to the session on Thursday, we record all of these, so you'll be able to watch it after the fact. And also, Teddy Theo Harris is doing capability statements. We are actually still booking up through June, so we're doing great stuff here. All right.